So, welcome along, everybody, to December's Women's Matrix podcast. I have two very super special guests today. These guys are the managers of the Women's Matrix. So, I've got Mary-Beth and I've got Naomi, and we are talking all things Women's Matrix, what we've achieved this year, and what brilliant plans we've got for next year. So, hello, both. I'm going to dive right in and let's start at the start. And the idea that we had, that you guys had to set up the Women's Matrix, which I can't believe isn't a year old. We were just talking, I think we were about 9-10 months old. And we've achieved so much in that time. But go back to the beginning. So Naomi, talk to me about where you started and where this idea came from.
Yeah, so we started with the materials matrix all the way back in January of 2020. And as part of that development process, we were reaching out to academia and industry and asking people what they wanted from the platform. And I'm sure you remember kind of the tail end of 2020. Kimberley, you and I had a chat about the materials matrix, and more importantly about women in STEM and having a platform that accurately represents women in STEM and that will help to support them and advocate for them.
Absolutely. And that was probably this time last year that we had that conversation. I feel like it was just before Christmas. And I think you got me on a bad day. I think I was having a bit of a rant about a networking event that I'd been to and how it felt like everything was such a competition all the time, and there wasn't anywhere that I had found that felt like there was women supporting women. And that was, I think I just had a bit of a therapy session with you for 20 minutes ranting on. And I'm really proud to say I think that is exactly what we've got in the Women's Matrix now. It's obviously a networking tool, but also just a really supportive bunch of people that isn't just, women only. I'm really pleased to see, the last couple of months we've got some really good conversations going on with the guys as well, which is fab. So I'm super proud to be a part of it. So obviously then the Women's Matrix started, was it March time?
Yeah, so the whole platform launched along with the Women's Matrix in March of this year, 2021, and has been headed up by Mary-Beth and myself ever since.
Our glorious leaders. We've done so much. I mean, Mary-Beth, just like the events on their own, let's not talk about obviously this podcast is the jewel in the crown of the Women's Matrix, but we've had some brilliant events, we've got some really good engagement, we've got the committee now, it's going really well, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been great, and it's interesting. It grew, as Naomi was mentioning, kind of from a concept or idea to she and I kind of figuring it out on our own for a bit, and then realizing that we wanted to bring in other talented women to help us and share their ideas and make sure that we're well represented within the Women's Matrix. So yeah, we've had many events from your podcast to interactive sessions. We've got feature Fridays, tips and tricks. So lots out there in the Women's Matrix for everyone to, participate in, join, share, and it's free, and anyone can join us. So we love to interact with folks, and especially those women in STEM.
I think it's great that the platform as a whole is not. It's definitely not LinkedIn. When I try and describe it to people, it's not LinkedIn. It's not. You don't feel like you have to show off, or people are trying to make a sale. There's not that kind of feel to it at all, which I'm so pleased about. All the events that you guys have organised have all been around. Okay, so here's somebody that's done something really well or has a great thing to share. in a non kind of competitive way. So, when I first started this podcast, I wanted it to be about how we can learn to become better versions of ourselves, more efficient or happier at work or personally. And I would say that's how I feel in the Women's Matrix, definitely. And I hope other people listening to this do too. That's really important, and also unique, I think, in terms of other options out there for people to get to network and meet role models or whatever. It's all done in a bit of a, makes me feel uncomfortable, a bit icky, though I am trying to get better after our podcast on networking. I am trying to put some of that into practice, but it still doesn't come very easy to me. So we've had a great year. Plans for next year, which I know we've been talking a lot about in the committee. What are you guys kind of excited for to see over the next 12 months?
Yeah, so I'll kind of hop in here, as long as Mary-Beth doesn't mind. As you were mentioning, it's really important to us that we foster relationships within the materials matrix, within the women's matrix, and that we're giving women an opportunity to steer how they're represented and how we can advocate for more women in STEM. So that's playing into a lot of what we've got planned for next year. I don't want to give too much away because we've got loads of really exciting things in the pipeline. Mary-Beth's giggling because she knows. But we've got talks about introducing mentorship schemes, which is really exciting. We've got more video content coming our way. A lot more opportunities to kind of get involved and steer the community. We're hopefully going to be looking at some offline events next year, which would be fantastic. There's a lot going on.
I think this is worth saying at this point, given the fact that we are, say, 9 months old, 10 months old, there's so much content and resource available now for people to access as part of the wider materials matrix, yes, but the women's matrix in particular. There's so much out there. You guys have managed to achieve so much in such a short amount of time, that will really give, if people want to go and look at that, will give them a feel about where we're going with this, and that it will be, I suppose, a bit more of the same, but it'd be great to do proper face-to-face events, more of those kind of like advisory how to, when we had a session on kind of imposter syndrome, didn't we? Loved that. I really loved that. I'm taking that forward now with my line management to speak to my team about. It's brilliant, and I think we want to push now perhaps to go spread the word a bit wider. I would say that's my ambition for the Women's Matrix next year, because you just don't get content like this for free. It's like being in a mentoring support group almost that you usually have to pay to be a part of, and this is all out there for free for people to get involved with. So I'd love to kind of get more people into it next year. I mean, we have got quite a big group now, haven't we? But I think with the committee members that we've got, who are all from far and wide, amazing different careers, amazing different geographical locations, it's just going to be exciting to see how that committee group kind of helps to push things in the new year. But it's an exciting time for us, isn't it?
It definitely is, and growing the network is one of the major goals, because as we all know, the number of girls and women interested in STEM increases when they have those female role models that will inspire them and help them, envision themselves in these roles. So, the Women's Matrix is there to help to do that.
That's such an important point, and something I think you were discussing. I contributed to it, I think, Mary-Beth, one of your discussion posts, which is a great way for people to, again, get a flavour of what it is that we do in the Women's Matrix. There's people on there hopping on all the time, putting on comments or putting on links to things that they've seen online. That's, I think, a really cool part of it. So I think we should end on what our favourite thing about the Women's Matrix is, and then I'll share some information about how people can find us and sign up. So I suppose I better go first, haven't I? And I think my favourite thing is being involved with a group of women that genuinely support each other, and it does not feel like a competition, and everybody is happy for each other doing well. And I think that is so rare, because sometimes I think women can be our own worst enemies, because we don't see enough of each other in the workplace. We perhaps view each other as a threat, but the group is lovely, and I'm just so pleased to be a part of it. How about you, Mary-Beth? What's your favourite, or the thing that you love the most about it?
Yeah, I really love the enthusiasm and what we see for posts in the Women's Matrix, and of course the participation from people that are joining our events and maybe haven't been in the Women's Matrix yet, but they see a webinar, or they see a session, and they come along, and then they participate and learn so much, and really bring a lot of spark and energy to the group. And I really love that. And the other part that I like is interacting, as a global group. Sometimes we are siloed in our specific areas, and it's great to be able to interact with women all over the world in this venue.
Such a great opportunity, isn't it? I mean, who gets that? I can't talk enough about it. So, Naomi, over to you. Fitting, you are the brainchild of the Women's Matrix. So what's your best favourite thing?
I mean, I think I'd have to agree with Mary-Beth. It's bringing women together and seeing the way that the women are interacting within the Matrix, and hearing our members say things like, oh, we got loads of benefit from the event that you put on, and the fact that we're providing those things for free. I think Mary-Beth and I are in a really privileged position to be able to talk to so many amazing women globally and get them involved and share in their creativity. Yeah, I think that's just amazing, and I think we're really lucky to have that opportunity. So thank you to all of the citizens.
Oh,
absolutely.
That's a nice way to end. So if this podcast has piqued your interest and you want to find out more about the Materials Matrix in general, or just the Women's Matrix, which is obviously the best part of the Materials Matrix, but we might be biased, you can get in touch with myself via my personal LinkedIn, which is Kimberley Walley, or you can contact these guys, our sub-community managers. We are at Materials Matrix on Twitter and Materials Matrix Community on LinkedIn. You can head over to www.materialsmatrix.org to sign up for an absolutely free account. And we look forward to hearing from you all in the Matrix. Have a wonderful Christmas, you two guys, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to you in the new year about all our fabulous plans.
Yeah, thanks. It's been great.
Speak to you soon then.
Bye.
Bye.